Okay, so you know what happens when your van goes kablooey? No? Just me? No? Alright. So about 2 months ago, we're on July 1st. Happy Canada Day to those of you who are also in Canada. Um, so about 2 months ago, our van left my husband and father-in-law stranded on the side of the road. Mid-ish to start-ish of May. I think. It feels like it was that long. It might have been like mid to late May. But either way, I left them on the side of the road. Thankfully, blessings upon blessings, my mother-in-law was able to go and get them. And our mechanic, who lives close to where we are, was heading to the city anyway and said, yeah, he'll pick it up on his way. And didn't charge us for it, might I also add. Okay? So he comes back with, okay, the reason why it quit is the water pump and the timing belt was not there. Which, okay. All right. So $2,000 later. Great. But while he had it there, he noticed that the safety was going to be due in June. So he's like, hey, it's close. Let's take a look. We won't do an actual safety, but we'll do all the check that we would normally do to see if there's going to be any surprises. There were a lot of surprises. Long story short, our mechanic, who's very good at making vehicles just stay on the road, looked at us and said, you might want to think about getting a new car. I can fix this, but it's going to be a lot of money. Like a lot of money. Cue panic. Cue the panic. And the absolute, oh no, oh no, oh no. See, here's the thing. We were starting our debt repayment journey. We have a mountain of debt. We're trying to get over it. And the car, thankfully, was paid off. We paid it off. We stole from Peter to pay Paul to pay it off. So we could use that money to pay other debt. And that's fine. So that's a perk. But it's like, oh, now we're going to have to get another car and have a car loan again. So my husband goes and looks to see if he can qualify, where he's also self-employed. And oh, look, he doesn't qualify even with a co-signer. Like, we can't get a loan. We are completely stuck in the water. So for about 2 weeks, I believe, in May, we had no vehicle. We had the work van, which only seats 2, and we are a family of 6. Great. Fantastic. My husband and I could go places my kids could not. So thankfully we do live above my in-laws' garage. So they were more than willing and stepped right up, and I so appreciate them. They watched the kids for a good chunk of April already, and then they allowed us to do what we needed to do in May as well. I don't know what we would have done. Like, it was such a help. So we get to, we then keep going, and I'm operating under the assumption that it's going to be $4,000 to $5,000 to get the car on the road. I have no idea where the money's going to come. Not a clue. I know that we have no choice but to fix this van because we can't get another car and no other vehicles were available. Great. Fantastic. So we come into June. Okay. We know that by the end of the month we have to have this money. And there was a Sunday. We were driving through the Tim Hortons drive-through, and I was talking about how we needed the $4,000, and Josh, my husband, goes, no, we already spent $2,000. It took half of it to get it on the road, right? At this point, we're driving the van now. We get it back. It's drivable, right? It's going to cost that much it's going to cost the nether half. So we don't need $4,000 to $5,000. We need 2 to 3 or 2.5, right? So he's like, oh, that's great. We can have that money. Okay. Fantastic. Come towards the end of the week, we find out that one of our tires has a slow leak. Well, that day we actually found out that our tire had a slow leak. And on Monday or Tuesday, my husband takes the car to the mechanic, and we had spare tires. So we were like, great, put on a spare because these ones are bald, and fantastic. So while he was putting on the tire, he took another look. Turns out it was going to be $4,000 to $5,000 because he found more. He found more. Like, it's like the car was like just disintegrating around us. And he was like, you really, like, you can put the money in, but it's only going to be in another month for the same amount of money. Like, it's there every time we pop it open, there's something new. It's really time to be done. And it sat there. And we were like, well, at that point it was still drivable. To put the new tires on, we're still driving it because we have no other vehicle that can fit all 6 of us, right? Then the following Sunday, and this is the point. This is where it gets good. I was watching Big Bang Theory yesterday, and it's no spoil alerts, but one of the quotes that Howard says is, "But the movie just got interesting." We're there. You've hung with me for 5 minutes while I've set the stage. Now we've got interesting. Okay. So that Sunday morning, the following Sunday morning, right? So the first Sunday, it was a Sunday, we were driving through Tim Hortons. He was like, it's only 2.5, right? The Monday, the tire, it's going to be more. The next Sunday, a week has passed. So we do 2 services, right? And because my husband volunteers for the first one, and then we go in for the second one. And this particular Sunday, I came over to the nursery. I don't even remember why. But I don't normally go over to the nursery where Josh is volunteering in between services. I don't normally. But I went over, I think, to see if he needed help with something. It was one of those days where they're not 100% sure they're going to have enough volunteers. That's probably why. But I still don't normally do that. So I was there, and one of the toddlers, his dad, came up to us and said, "I have a car. It only seats 5. It does need some work, but I do have a car that I'd like to give to you." And at the time, our van is running. Our van is running, and we're looking for a van, not a car, because we have 6 people in our family, right? So we looked at each other and we're like, we don't want to look a gift horse in the mouth, but it only seats 5, and it needs work, and right? So we're like, we are interested. Can you give us the week to pray about it? And he's like, absolutely, let me know. But like, even if you guys just take it and sell it, I would love you guys to have it. And we were like, okay, we are interested. Give us some time to talk about it. Great. He leaves. And this is like big. I then helped for the first half of the service because they were low on volunteers. And then when the volunteers finally arrived, which is another whole video to talk about, by the way, I was able to go for the sermon. So I went, and he was talking about Elijah, right? And how Elijah went into he had to flee. And he was in the desert, and he's like, I just want to die. And he fell asleep. And then he woke up, and he was told to eat and drink. And then he went to sleep. Then he woke up, and he was told to eat and drink. Right? And God showed up, but not in the way Elijah wanted him to. And that was something that kind of stuck with me that morning, was when our pastor said, how much you want to bet God has shown up? God has proven he exists. He has been there. He showed up. You just don't like how he did it. And that's a you problem. I sat there and I was like, oh no, what's going to happen now? Because we don't want a car. We want a van. Right? So that day was a day actually spent all in the city, right? We leave an hour outside of the city. It was a day spent entirely out in the city because we had a meeting at church that night. So we get in our car and we do a whole bunch of errands, and on the way back to the church, the engine light comes on. And we're like, oh, the engine light comes on, right? And then the battery light comes on. We get to the church. We weren't far. We were just down the road. We get to the church. We turn off the car. We turn back on the car. The battery light is gone. The engine light's still on, but the battery light is gone. We're like, okay. All right. Turn off the car. Go into church. We had a vision meeting. It was really good. We come out. My husband was so wrapped up in this that he forgot. I had not, because that is what a lot of women do, is we remember these kind of things. Is this car going to leave us on the side of the road? This is important, right? Especially with 4 kids in the back. So we get in the car and we're driving. No lights are on. No engine, no battery, nothing. Right. We get the kids food. And as we're leaving the city, I was like, well, we got to decide which direction we're heading. Because there's 2 ways to get home. There's over a mountain, and then there's what we call the main road. The main road is longer, has tours. The mountain is rougher, understandably. So I looked at Josh, and I was like, well, which way are we going to take? And he goes, I don't know. I said, well, we have to factor in the fact the battery light, right? And the engine light. And he goes, oh, right, I forgot. Okay. He's like, all right, well, he's like, we're driving, and he goes, I'm going to take them out, because if it's going to come back on and it's a loose sensor, because nothing came on, right? If it's a sensor, the mountain's going to bump it, right? And it'll flicker and stuff like that. And it's also faster. So if it's serious, we'll be closer to home if something happens. And he does a lot of work on the mountain, a lot of plumbing work on the mountain. So he has a lot of contacts. So if we were left on the mountain where it's no service, hiking to a house, odds are he's done plumbing work there. Odds are he knows them or they know him. So it was fine. We get halfway on the mountain. We're on our way down the mountain towards home when the battery light comes on. And I had already done a quick Google search. And when the battery light comes on, FYI, PSA, if you didn't know, right? And I don't know that there's a lot of men watching my content. So for the women out there, and anybody else, if you didn't know, when the battery light comes on in a car, at least on a Honda Odyssey, but I believe at all times, the battery light pops on and the engine light pops on. What it means is that your vehicle is running on battery power alone. That means your alternator, the thing that makes the engine work, has quit. Okay? And usually it means you've got about 30 to 45 minutes, maybe. That might be overstating it. You might have less depending on the health of your battery before your vehicle's just going to quit. It's just going to stop. You're going to lose power steering. You don't want to be on the highway when this happens, right? If you're on the highway, your battery light comes on, pull over, get out. Don't be going at high speeds because your power steering's going to go, your radio's going to go, all the stuff is going to go, and there will be signs. You'll have some warning. Get on the brakes, get off on the side of the road. So we made it less than 5 minutes home. There was less than 5 minutes to home when the radio cuts out, the fans go, the power steering, it's like boom, boom, boom. The power steering goes. It just slows down. It's just coasting now. So Josh pulled over, we stopped, and we're just sitting there. And Josh immediately calls up his dad, because again, we live there. He came and took the kids and some of the stuff, took them home. And while he was doing that, my husband calls the gentleman that gave us the car and said, so, if the offer's still open, we absolutely will take the car because our van's a block. And then my father-in-law came and got the car, I think Josh left a message saying, tomorrow we'll borrow a car, we'll come and get it. And, because we could do that. So, my father-in-law comes, gets us, we completely empty out the van, because I'm like, we're not getting back in this. 9 times out of 10, we're not getting back in this car. So, we completely cleared everything out. Our mechanic was like, yep, not a problem, I'll come and get it. Again, he didn't charge us for this. Right? We have an awesome mechanic who is severely underpaid. So my father-in-law takes us home. And at around 9, between 8:30 and 9, it was closer to 9, much closer to 9. I think it was 9. The gentleman who was giving us the car contacted my husband and said, all right, we're on our way to your place now. What's your address? To give you context, these people lived on the other side. So the city that we are close to, because it's online, I'm not going to share it, but the city that we are close to is kind of like Toronto. It's not, but kind of, where it's got the main city and then it's got a city and a city. They're in the furthest city, right? So it's a longer drive, and it's an hour away from us, from the closest city. So it was probably more like an hour 20, give or take, hour and a half. They drove that car to us that night and arrived at 10:30-ish that night. We had a car within hours. God provided a car, a vehicle, that if there's an emergency, a medical emergency, if there's a problem, if there is something major that happens and we got to get somewhere, he provided us that means. Because the car, while it had some issues, was drivable. That's huge. Okay? But the story is not done yet. Okay? You thought, you're 10 minutes in. You thought you were done? No. hold on to your hats, okay? So we had the car, and he was very frank. There were problems with it, okay? But it was a good little car. We take it to the mechanic. The mechanic agrees. He's like, yeah, there was a steering problem and one other problem that he's like, I wouldn't put my kids in it yet. These have to be fixed. And the guy who gave it to us told us these things. And he's like, oh yeah, no, it does need work, but it's going to be cheaper. And the mechanic, we have two. So the mechanic, there's two of them. There's an older gentleman who doesn't like to give bad news. And then there's a younger guy who's very straight cut lace. And I like both. And the older gentleman's like, either way, you're going to be sinking a lot of money in. But the other mechanic's like, sink it in the car. The van is toast. Sink it in the car. So we were like, okay, well, how much do we owe you for working on the van and for looking at this and like giving us information? And they're like, and my husband looked at him and said, is the van of any use to you? Like, is the van of any use in material or parts to you, or is it just going to be a lawn ornament? And they're like, no, there's a lot of Honda Odysseys. We can definitely salvage the parts. We'll take it from you, and we'll just do that trade for the labor that we've done thus far on it, and we'll just charge you for the work we're going to do on the car. I'm sorry, what? They're going to take our broken vehicle and give us a working vehicle at very minimum cost. Like under $1,000 minimum cost. And we were going to have to spend $4,000 to $5,000. Like, what? Okay, so now we've got, well, we don't have it yet. He's still working on it because he's doing it in between. So we get that all squared away, right? We get that all squared away. My parents then turn around and we went to go tear down a deck at their place so we could take the wood. Then they loan us their car for 2 weeks. So that way we can take our kids to Beulah and we can do stuff with their kids and be able to go to church and what have you. I'm sorry, what? And then that happens. Then the following day or something, like later in the week, my husband's brother-in-law contacts us and said, oh, I have an 8-seater van for you. It's only going to be $3,750. And the dealership's taking a loss because they were going to sell it at $10 and they bought it for $4. And we're willing, we'll sell it to you. And you come and get it. And we were able to borrow the money from my in-laws rather than having a car payment. And interest and all that nonsense. So wait, you're telling me that God provided not one, but 2 vehicles. I'm sorry. And a vehicle to get us to the other vehicle. Like what? Like what? Because so here's the thing that I didn't tell you. Okay. What I didn't tell you is that prior to the van dying, right? Like I said, we're on a debt repayment journey. We're working on paying down our debt. Okay. So what we had kind of decided, what our hope was we knew that our van, this was pre the mechanic, all pre the blow up, right? What we had talked about was, okay, my husband is looking to start changing careers and go into ministry, particularly into missions. That's where we feel we are called, where we believe we're called. And all evidence is pointing us that direction. When God gives a sign, he makes it pretty clear. He kind of smacks you upside the head with it, right? And we were like, all right, here's the thing though. Taking the work van is a lot of gas. And we need a little car because gas is getting so astronomical. If you live in Canada, you understand. It is absurd how much gas is here. And we were sitting here going, we need a little car. We need a little car. And if it's just the kids and I, particularly since we have an older one who's now able to sit in the front seat, it'd be just that much cheaper to jet to town with a car than a van. But we need a van for when all 6 of us want to do something, right? We don't want to take 2 vehicles. We only want to take one. And that's still cheaper in gas. So we're like, we're going to replace our van, right, with a newer version, a newer in years, right? Didn't have to be new, just newer. So that way it runs better. We're going to get a replacement van, and then once we pay that off, because this is after we're done paying down debt, then we'll buy a little beater car, And that way, Josh, when he's got to go to meetings in the city, when he's doing his work, when I need stuff, like, it's a cheaper vehicle. So what I'm trying to tell you here, guys, and I'm recording this and I'm posting it so that way I also remember, because we so easily forget that God is the God who provides, and he takes care, and he loves, but he provides in his time and his way and in his order, not ours. So what I'm trying to tell you is we had one broken vehicle, and he doubled our blessing. He doubled it. He answered not just a current prayer, but he answered a future prayer. And that future prayer is what he answered first. Let that sink in for a second. He provided for a need with the prayer from the prayers that hadn't even happened yet. He didn't do it my way. That's for doggone sure. But he did it his way, and it's that much better. Because here's the thing, is if we had bought the van first, we wouldn't have taken the car. We needed a vehicle. So he gave us the vehicle we would have denied first, because he was answering the future prayer. It's just so cool how God works. So here's my little PSA for you. If you're in the middle of absolute chaos, it's been 2 months in my brain of absolute unmitigated chaos, where God is building in you the ability to trust him regardless of circumstances, regardless of evidence, regardless of fact. Don't get me wrong, he is not a God of chaos, but there are many, many times. I love, one of our pastors said this a while ago, the line between God's plan and insanity to the world can look very thin. And oftentimes when you're doing what God's called you to do, the rest of the world thinks you're nuts. I can tell you there are people that think we are nuts for keeping the car. Because technically, we don't need it. We have a van now. It's extra cost. But the reality is, by keeping the car, it opens up a lot of avenues for us to be able to follow God's will. God will provide. If you're sitting there going, I know God can. This is what I tend to do. I know God can if he wanted to. I just don't know if he wants to. God wants to bless. He wants to lavish. He wants to love on. But he will do it in his time and his way. And it is our job to be obedient regardless. It is our job to be faithful regardless. It is our job to trust. Just like a child trusts. No matter what's going on, God's got it. He really does. And you just need to remember that. Repeat it to yourself. God's got it. And remember the times that God provided, because he has. Even if you haven't liked how, he has. Bye, y'all.